Hello, good morning. I am Minister Alyssa Lee. My pronouns are she or they, and I am the minister here for this congregation. And I want to welcome you to Brookfield Unitarian Universalist Church. Whether you're here in person or on Zoom, I'm happy to see you here. I would now like to invite any members of our membership committee present this morning to please stand and give a little wave. Got a few people here. Yeah. They'll be available after the service if you'd like to show you around and answer any questions you might have. If you're new here, we would love for you to sign our guest book in the entryway so that we can send you a copy of our latest newsletter, which will give you an idea of who we are and what we have going on here. And we are, this congregation puts genuine warmth and welcome in the heart of everything we do. So in that spirit, I invite everyone present to turn and either briefly greet or wave one another. Yeah. I'll also wave. There we go. I remind you your name tag, which is back there, on the way to coffee hour, which is in the parlor right here. If you don't have a name tag and would like one, there are directions how to get one on the board at the back of the sanctuary. Masks are now optional during worship and at coffee hour, and as always, please no food or drink in the sanctuary. The restroom is located downstairs, so the stairs are right there, and is accessible via the stairs or this lift here off the parlor. Today's announcements are listed on the back of your order of service. And I think we have a few additional announcements as well.
Good morning, everybody. Happy fall back. A couple of quick announcements on behalf of the membership committee. First, on Sunday, November 19th, instead of coffee hour, we're going to have potluck to welcome Alyssa. So we do have a sign-up sheet for you to bring items to the potluck or to help us clean or set up. Secondly, on, I think it's a Tuesday, December 5th, Sturbridge is doing a fundraiser for us, so if there are little things in the parlors to remind you, you can put it on your fridge so you don't forget the date, December 5th. If you eat it, who knows, that you're part of BUUC, a little bit comes back to us as the easy fundraiser, and you get pizza. Okay, enjoy.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Swift, and I'm on the Committee for Ecology and Social Action. And just to tell the congregation one more time that our efforts with the migrant people in Sturbridge have been very successful, along with other churches and organizations. And the people who are still at the Super 8 have all their basic needs have been met. The main collection point has moved to Worcester, and there may be things from time to time that we can offer them, but for now, the one that we're thinking about is posted on the CISA bulletin board, and it is a wish list of books that is presented by the Sturbridge Library, which set up 2 libraries for the migrants, one at the physical library and one at the Super 8, for people to borrow. The goal is English language learning, and they are bilingual books at various reading levels, let's say. There is a link on the notice to Amazon where you could go and see the list and either buy straight from Amazon, which will send it straight to the library, or you can get the list and go to some other bookseller that you'd rather buy from. Thank you very much for all you've done to help.
Does anyone else have any announcements? Our service today is about being generous with yourself, of giving yourself a break from the external voices pressuring you, and sometimes the even louder inner ones making you less. Taking a nap when the rest of the world values productivity, finding a path that is meaningful to you, though others may not understand its value. Let us now begin our worship. Our first hymn today will be number 52 in your gray hymnal, "In the Sweet Fields of Autumn." If you'll please rise in body or spirit. Do you have anyone here who would like to assist us with the chalice lighting? Our reading today for the chalice lighting is by the Reverend Deborah Falk. The chalice lit amongst us is a beacon of hope in a world in crisis, a beacon of possibility made manifest in community, a beacon of warmth through our interconnections, a beacon of light illuminating our shared wisdom, a beacon of connection by our being together. If you'll please join me now in reading our affirmation that you'll find printed in your order of service. I'll lead with the together and invite you to join in the response. Together, unite in an atmosphere of care and support to foster spiritual health and growth. Together, focus on sharing our ideas and history with warmth, love, loving friendship, and open mind. Together, creation to reach out to the larger community. One of the ways that we reach out to the larger community is through our support of the Brookfield Ecumenical Food Pantry. If you brought a donation, you're invited to come forward and place it in the basket here at the front of the sanctuary. If you didn't bring a donation for the food pantry, or you are attending via Zoom but would like to contribute, you're invited to mail in a donation or to leave a monetary donation in the envelope in the basket. 3/4 of the monetary donations goes to the Minister's Benevolence Fund, and 1/4 goes to the operation expenses of the food pantry. Thank you for sharing with your neighbors. Our first reading for today is, it's actually kind of a cool project. The NPR poet in residence, Kwame Alexander, challenged listeners to write a poem about napping or anything related to sleeping, dreaming, or just relaxing. So they got about 1,200 poems from all across the country, from children up to senior citizens. And then he crowdsourced the poem, and he called it A Blanket of Words. It's a really long poem, so I've just slightly abridged it. If I could, I would like us to take a break. I would like us to contemplate how much better we all are with rest. I would like to take a restoring nap upon my king-sized bed, to pile my pillows all around my head. A soft, warm, handmade quilt, my cozy nook to curl up with my fruit into a blanket of words. Let's read each other bedtime stories as I drift into unconsciousness, disconnecting from today. I would like to pause just for a few precious moments to calm my mind, slide from a world of lists and piles of laundry, a glass, dishes in the sink. I'd like to rest, but I have a test. I'd like to sleep, but my work is too deep. I would like to give in to the pull of my eyelids, begging to close, but the email in front of me deserves a reply. I sigh deeply and shrug, resisting their tug, and attempt once again to compose. I would like to hide away for a bit of shut-eye in the middle of the day to the soft, quiet spaces of the old couch before the fire, dogs snoring at my feet, new snow drifting outside my window. I would like to lay my head on a pillow soft as a feather bed and let my body sink into repose as my eyelids slowly close. I would like to pull the pinpoint stars down from the sky. I'd weave soft moonbeams through them. To climb the stairs in my imagination made, I would like to be a bird, unburdened. I would like to be me, unbound. I just want to nap and wonder and wander and dream of letting go, ego dissolving like honey and tea. If I could, I would like to feel good, lay on the clouds and not fall through. I would like to surrender. I would like to rest in peace. I would like to rest my heart from the daily stabs of an unkind world. I would like to forget the faces whose judgments crowd my mind. I would like to be your pillow, the firmness to support you, the softness to embrace you. I would like to wait and find its spring. I would like to be remembered as a fearless dreamer. I would like to shut my eyes and open my heart to nap, wrapped in silence. I would like to lay down in my bed and wake up better. Rise, ready to battle the challenges every day brings. And then I would like to have another cup of coffee. Greet the bird songs, the willow trees, the warmth of the sun. Like to meet the new day embraced in love, refreshed, anew, ready to change the world. But first I will dream of the world I will change. And then I will change. But for now, I would like to dream. Now it's time for our offering. I know I've said it before, but I really am struck by just the warmth and community that is present here in this congregation. You know, it's a small congregation, but you all are just, I've never seen so many people get up for joys and sorrows as I have week after week, and I think that's amazing. I think that's to the credit that you all feel comfortable that you can share that information with each other. And I was really struck by the chalice lighting. You know, we have all different generations. Again, I've never seen a chalice lighting like that before. It's really remarkable to see everybody together, especially young people feeling like they can get up and share. And I hope you all see what a remarkable place. I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about what a remarkable place this is. And so when you support this building, this congregation, the staff, you're also supporting this wonderful place that we all can come to and bring both our joys and any burdens we may have. So if you want to donate in person, you are welcome to donate one of the Plates will be passed around. If you're on Zoom this morning, offerings and pledges can be made at any time using one of the options at the end of the order of service. So we thank you all for your generosity, and we will now gratefully receive the offering. You may be seated. Our next hymn is, it says to stand in the order of service, but we're actually going to remain seated for it. It is, sorry, I'll pick that up in a second. It's number 1037 in your teal hymnal. And I will be doing the narrator's part, and you'll sing the response with just the same line over and over again. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible. For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For the selfishness that set us apart and alone.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
for losing sight of our unity. For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness. Please join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation. Let's take a deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. Spirit of life and love, holy mystery who holds us and calls us home to our true selves. This was another week of heartbreaking images and stories that are almost too devastating to process. Many of us find ourselves lost as to how to help or even what to say. It feels sometimes that this world has forgotten nuance or empathy, that we have forgotten how to hold multiple, possibly conflicting truths at the same time. And yet many of us also experienced a celebration of joy and magic this week. Perhaps a reminder of our own innocent youth, when all that mattered was our friends seeing us in our costumes, and can we make it to enough houses to completely fill our trick-or-treat bags. We perhaps remembered a simpler time and wished we could go back to that life, to that understanding. May we, in difficult times, remember that we can hold multiple truths about the world, about politics, and about ourselves. That we can both live in this world and live in the world of children, of joy, of our own sweet memories. May we now rest in the stillness of this moment and perhaps take the time to remember the sweetness of past memories and of celebrations of our own youth or those of beloved children or youth in our lives. May it be so, and amen. If you all could hear the sound of the explorers downstairs during your meditation, that was really lovely. I love the sound of children in church. Our second reading is an excerpt from the book Daring to Take Up Space. It's a poem by Danielle Kepke. I'm probably not saying that right, but Kepke, there we go. You don't have to be productive to be worth something. Doing more doesn't make you better or smarter or more valuable. And taking a break doesn't make you lazy. It makes you human. No one can endlessly work without needing time to decompress. No one is always going and doing and creating. Every person needs quiet moments and slow days. Days when you don't have the energy to do anything more than exist. And you're allowed that. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to slow down and breathe. To have days when you aren't working towards some greater purpose or plan. Resting is productive in its own right. You can't be successful if you're running on empty. And you cannot give the best version of yourself if you're constantly neglecting your self-care. There's strength in being someone who honors what they need to cope and survive. Strength is honoring your seasons and giving yourself permission to shed everything you're carrying for a moment so that you can bloom at a later time. You deserve rest if you need it. You deserve to have days reserved for doing nothing. Even if other people with your same struggles did more. Even if you could have pushed yourself a little harder. Even if you took a break yesterday. Whatever you manage to do today is enough. No matter what, you're enough. Before I start my sermon, I'd like to say that I'm recognizing that doing 2 readings about the value of taking a nap is probably not the best choice right before you're about to talk for 15 minutes. So, so I was reading that first thing, I was like, oh boy, everyone's going to fall asleep. So, you know what? If you feel like taking a nap, I will not be offended. You want to just lay your head down? Won't be offended. So, I brought it on myself. People have been throwing around the phrase self-care a lot in the last few years, and unfortunately, it has often meant buying oneself something rather than other forms of care. So if I buy this serum for my face, or I spend untold amounts to get a massage, or if I could just find that perfect super soft sweatshirt that likely costs about $200, then I will feel cared for and happy. But what does actual generosity towards ourselves mean? How can we care for ourselves in a way that truly honors our own needs and wants? Especially right now when we're still halfway in a pandemic, dealing with an incredibly scary and complex wars across the globe, gun violence near and far, and a fractured electorate. How do we truly care for ourselves and those around us when for many of us, we're barely keeping our head above water, or feeling so dispirited by the news every day that sometimes we feel like it might just be easier to ignore it and hope it goes away. And yet we know it won't. Have any of you ever heard of the NAP ministry? It is a real thing. Here you go. It's a movement created by Tricia Hershey, aka the Nap Bishop, and I would highly recommend you follow them on social media or look them up. So Tricia Hershey was in seminary, she worked, she was doing an internship, she was also a mom, and she realized something had to give. When she was reading for school, Hershey just kept falling asleep, and she realized that she actually woke up renewed every time. Imagine that. So she began building in moments of respite into her day, no matter where she was. She slept, she took long baths, she meditated, or she just simply allowed herself to daydream. She said, I was exhausted physically, mentally, spiritually, and I just didn't see any other way except to take a radical leap and say, I don't care. Let the chips fall where they may. She said, if I fail out of school, that's fine if I don't finish that grade, because I'm going to bed. She turned this personal revelation into a movement and began inviting other people to nap with her. And she even offered sermons on the power of sleep. She coined the phrase, rest is resistance. So people began taking her advice. They quit jobs, they took sabbaticals, or slowed down business ventures because they realized they too needed a break. They needed to rest. For so many of us, we've been taught that the true measure of success is being busy. I don't know about you, but I often feel like when I talk to some of my friends, it can sound like the busy Olympics, where everyone is trying to prove how important they are and how important their jobs are by demonstrating just how stressed out and busy they are. I heard a conversation several months ago between On Being's Krista Tippett and U.S. Poet Laureate Ada Limon, in which Limon was describing a poem she'd written, and she said, the poem is very much about learning to find a home and a sense of belonging in a world where being at peace is actually frowned upon, where being at ease is not okay. We prioritize busyness. We say, oh, I'm stressed, or now if you want to know about stress, let me tell you, I'm stressed. So then she said that she said, I like to tell my friends when they say they're really stressed, I'll be like, oh, I took the most wonderful nap. You should take a nap. And so she laughed in the interview and said, I know it's cruel. So this part of their conversation really stayed with me because it felt like one of the few times I have heard people have a conversation about how great a lack of busyness can be. There was definitely a time in my life in which I would never have dared to claim I was anything other than busy, lest someone think I was not successful or, heaven forbid, not productive enough. So I often wonder, well, what if we stopped thinking that way? What if we stopped measuring our success and that of others based on how busy we all are? What if your own measure of success was actually measured by your ability to live the life you want on your own terms? What if it were about not the absence of time during the day, but the existence of time to do with your life as you wish? Or, even more radical, what if we stopped caring about success at all? But that's perhaps a sermon for another day. We'll go there later. I've also been thinking a lot about how one of the only good things to come out of the COVID pandemic is that for the first time in my working life, many of us can actually call in sick. I'm sure many of you have been part of a workplace culture that offers so few sick days, if at all, that you reserve them for medical appointments or caregiving, so that you feel you're unable to take them for actually being ill. Or possibly you have an employer that offers sick days but guilts you or makes you feel like your job may be threatened if you take them. I know I've certainly experienced that many times. So you and your coworkers have gone into work sick. Anyway, even if you know you could get everyone else sick or prolong your own illness. I remember once, pre-COVID, I was working as the director of an alternative dispute resolution program, and I went to work and I facilitated this all-day negotiation conference with two parties with probably about at least 5+ people on each side. And I didn't feel like I could miss it, but it was probably one of the times I've been the most sick in my entire life, and it was really obvious to everybody there. It was not pleasant to see. And I remember one of the attorneys afterwards shaking my hand and then immediately grabbing some hand sanitizer, and then he apologized for doing that. And because I would have been offended by him hand sanitizing after he shook my hand. It's just unimaginable to me right now to think about that. He was apologizing to me for trying to sanitize away the sizable germs I very likely just transmitted to him through that all-day conference. So it's remarkable that now many of us can actually stay home rather than put our coworkers at risk. Although I also recognize that with the popularity of working from home, many of us still can't rest. I've watched countless friends with COVID or some other type of illness feeling absolutely terrible, but also feeling like they still need to be productive. Or their kids may be sick, or they need to provide care for another adult in their lives, but yet they still have to muddle through and get their work done. And this just isn't just the case for illness either. Many of us don't know when to stop, or we've been trained that we cannot stop. That to be rested or take a step back somehow indicates we are less passionate about our jobs or the other requirements on our time. Further still, many of us have been taught that to love someone, we must sacrifice some part of ourselves. We have to give until it hurts, right? Our children or significant others or other family members won't truly know we care for them and love them unless we run ourselves ragged in service of them, unless we prioritize their plans over ours, their comfort and rest over ours. I'm sure many of you have heard of this theory of 10,000 hours. Yeah, I get a few nods. The theory, I'm grossly generalizing this, the theory is that to be truly good at something, you must devote 10,000 hours to it. So I was recently thinking about this with respect to sermons. So say if I spent 2 hours every day writing, how long would it take me from this day to get to 10,000 hours? So it would take me 27 years. So look for me in 2050, and I will be knocking those sermons out of the park, let me tell you. But what if we let ourselves off the hook for all of that? What if we, like the Nat Bishop, Miss Hershey, decided to just let ourselves rest instead? If we dared to fail or simply leave things unfinished or imperfect, what would that look like? Today is the end of daylight savings time, and this, with the onset of winter, means the days will be getting shorter and colder, and the darkness will be sinking in much earlier. During this time of year, I often start thinking about this concept of hygge, which is spelled Hygge, which is a Danish, somewhat undefinable concept, which can somewhat be described as taking time from the daily rush to be with people you care about, or even yourself, to relax and enjoy life's quieter pleasures. Helen Russell, a British journalist who wrote The Year of Living Danishly, defines the term as taking pleasure in the presence of gentle, soothing things like a freshly brewed cup of coffee and cashmere socks. Of course, the influx of books and articles in the United States on hygge tend to focus on the consumerism of this concept. What products can you buy to make your life more comfortable, make the winter more bearable and cozy? And even some of the Danish underpinnings can seem steeped in luxury and privilege. Yet I think there is something we can learn from this concept. Louisa Thompson-Brits, a British-Danish writer, speaks of hygge as a state of mindfulness, how to make essential and mundane tasks dignified, joyful, and beautiful, how to live a life connected with loved ones. Perhaps we can find from this concept inspiration to focus on the joy of this season and the slowing down and spending time with yourself or others you care about, and how that can be a spiritual act. Finding joy in the mundane task of everyday life and the beauty in our care for ourselves and others can be deeply rewarding. And maybe in the slowing down and going about our lives with more deliberation, we can find that sense of relaxation and respite. People often give this metaphorical advice about you have to put your own mask first on, similar as if you're in an airplane. It's a way to indicate that you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. And I do think that is important advice. But I also think it's okay to take care of yourself first, just to take care of yourself, full stop. The care for yourself does not have to be in service of anyone or anything else. You can simply love and value yourself enough to know in your bones you deserve to be cared for. Those who've had difficult childhoods or other periods of their lives sometimes wonder, what would they be like if someone had cared for them the way they now care for their own children or loved ones in their lives? How would things be different? Can you imagine? Well, why not find out? Why not care for yourself the way you wish someone had cared for you? Not because it will make you a better parent or partner or friend or colleague, but because you deserve it. Because you have worth outside of any of the roles you play, just because you are you. And you and only you get to decide what gives your life meaning. Blessed be, and may it be so. Our next hymn is in a purple hymnal, a Spanish hymnal. It's number 4, Es un don ser sencillo. And we're going to sing it through twice. Please rise and bow to your spirit. May this week you give yourself time to rest, time to simply be. May you have time to listen to the inner voice inside of you and answer its call, whatever that may be. Amen.